Hi everyone, I am Ricardo Alvarez. I lead the corporate supply chain team in MRO Holdings. We are based, our headquarters are in Dallas and in El Salvador. Today we are in El Salvador.
So Ricardo, my idea for today is just having a quick conversation. First question that I have is which are the biggest challenge you have faced in your role as supply chain VP in the aeronautic sector?
Before answering your question, let me provide a little bit of context for the company because I think it is very important to provide that context. So we are a heavy maintenance company for the aviation industry, meaning that we provide heavy maintenance services to airlines, the big airlines in America, I would say, and I would say that we are the biggest specialized heavy maintenance company now in the Americas. We have 4 operations. One operation, our biggest operation, is in El Salvador. We have 2 operations in US and 1 operation in Mexico. Just to give you some context of the complexity, we work with 17 different customers. I'm talking about the big guys of the commercial aviation industry in Americas. We deliver more than 1,000 checks, aircraft checks per year, which is huge. You can imagine 1,000 per year. For that, and in charge of supply chain, the challenge for us is around placing more than 150,000 purchase orders to bring parts for our day-to-day operation. And well, to give you an idea of the complexity, we have more than 70,000 SKUs, what is called in the industry, or part numbers, how we call it in the aviation industry. So basically, challenges, Luciano, huge challenges. I would summarize that also with our vision in supply chain MROH, which is to have the right parts at the right place, at the right time, with the right price. So if we comply with that, we are delivering what we really need. And we also, and let me take advantage that we have a recently renewed and updated vision for 2025, which is to be a synchronized supply chain which consistently exceeds the performance and expectations from our customers to deliver profitable growth. We are a high-performance multicultural team which attracts, develops, and retains the best talent. And we leverage on robust processes and technologies while continuously improving to deliver the present while shaping the future. So those are the challenges, Luciano.
Oh, quite interesting, those challenges. But I can foresee those challenges you're mentioning. There's something that you see, okay, as we are approaching to the future, we're talking a lot about the risk of the future. So how do you manage the risk in your supply chain?
For the risk, I would say that the secret sauce here, or the secret recipe, would be anticipating everything and trying to improve visibility of what we can improve visibility. With the context that I just mentioned, any information before anything happens is gold for us. So anticipating, getting visibility in advice for everything. And let's talk specifically the area where you guys are helping us a lot, which is the demand planning and the forecasting. So for us, it is critical to get or anticipate or predict everything related to demand forecasting. In this specific case, one of the big risks that we have is that if we don't have a right forecast, or we don't make the right decisions for building up our inventories, we can either impact the operation and delay the throughput and impact the throughput, or end up with a amount of inventory surplus left over that we don't need, and therefore impacting all the financials for the company, be it P&L, cash, whatever. So those are like kind of the big risks that we face in this industry.
Keep on talking about all those risks in the future, and you're talking about demand planning. There's something that are the trends that you can foresee in the emerging coming years. What can you talk about the emerging trends that is coming?
Well, the first trend I would say is that after pandemic, and this is great that it is that way, the aviation industry is recovering. The latest figures are showing that we are at the same levels that we were in 2019, which is great. So it comes with huge challenges for us. And well, specifically what we see in kind of trends for this MRO industry, and I'm not talking about the aviation, but specifically the heavy maintenance, is that who is really leveraging on a scale is winning. Mm-hmm. We see that playing with big players, big partners, creating partnerships, like large agreements, is the way for leveraging on a scale and delivering benefits to our customers. This is one trend that we are tackling by doing exactly that. We are having a conversation, closing agreements with big partners in the industry, OEMs. So this is one trend. Another trend that I would mention is, well, this is an industry that, as I mentioned, it has to have a balanced growth on revenues, P&L, and cash, very important. So this is the trend for any MRO that wants or expect to survive. We need to have a balanced growth. And this is another trend. And last but not least, demand complexity. We see it growing, the complexity is growing, that complexity is growing. We are receiving another customers, another fleets, the aircrafts in different conditions with different ages. So complexity is becoming critical for us. So if an MRO can deal and better deal with that complexity, well, that MRO, and this is us, we will have a competitive advantage in the market.
In the beginning, you said that you're a pure MRO company. So which are the main differences you can foresee in being a pure MRO service company with a MRO associated with an airline company?
In fact, we are very different businesses and very different companies. We are MRO, both are MRO. However, an MRO, a heavy maintenance isolated company, not being part of an airline, it's per se a company that isolated must deliver profit, needs to be very efficient doing what we do. This is the core business for an MRO isolated company. For an MRO as part of an airline, this is not the core business for the aviation company. The core business is the aviation itself, the commercial aviation, and they have the MRO as a support area that, it doesn't have that like spotlight or pressure for becoming a profit center. It needs to be efficient, productive, but we operate as an isolated company for making an MRO business profitable and sustainable. So it is very different. They also leverage on some scales or some benefits that they have as airlines in terms of moving parts in their own fleets. We need to be very efficient at the logistics side because we don't have that those fleets like serving us. So really, when you start like adding those differences, you end up with very, very different business models, sources of profits, and ways to handle the business.
I know that that MRO Holdings has different ops, site ops, and each one has a difference. How do you manage? How do you handle the volatility all across the MRO holding? And how do you foresee the best way to handle those stuff?
By the way, this is one of the biggest challenges that we have. Volatility, complexity, and for this industry is absolutely a huge challenge. Let me tell you something, and let me tell you something from my previous life in another company. I was working for a consumer goods company, and when I was there leading the supply chain area, we were looking for a partner to help us dealing with the complexity and volatility of the demand and use some probabilistic approaches and probabilistic tools for building a better scenario. Unfortunately, I left the company and we didn't find that partner back then. And when I arrived to MRO Holdings, I was like, surprised, but that was a great surprise. By finding that Lokad was already a partner for MROH, and you were working exactly that, the concept and put in practice what is the probabilistic demand and forecasting, and this is really, and I don't know if I'm disclosing one of the secrets for success in this kind of businesses, but this is really the way for coping and embracing the volatility and the complexity. What I tell my guys, my team, we can complain about volatility. We can complain about complexity. Complexity and volatility are here and will be here and will increase with time. So we need to have the right tools and the right processes for dealing with that complexity and volatility. And I would say probabilistic demand planning and forecasting is one of those great tools.
Wow. This was a good answer. This is something that I have a hard time explaining to potential customers. As you know, since I'm a commercial guy, I'm trying to explain why this particular vision can help them see the problem and frame the problem from a different angle. And also, as you just said, you come from a different sector, the fast-moving consumer goods, and now in the MRO. And I'm pretty sure you can see some differences, something that is quite similar. Which for you would be the best way to explain to either one of those sectors why this particular vision on quantitative supply chain can help them make better decisions rather to focusing on the forecast?
Huge difference, a big learning from me. Well, I mentioned during the conversation the amount of complexity. I thought with working in consumer goods that having 300 SKUs was a pain, and now with thousands and thousands, I realized that there's no such complexity for a business like this. So this is one of the big differences. But I would like more to emphasize the similarities, because I was brought to MRO Holdings without knowing about aviation, without having experience at all in aviation. I was hired for leading the corporate supply chain in an MRO aviation company, and I thought they're crazy. They haven't read my resume. They haven't read my CV, and they're hiring the wrong Ricardo Alvarez. There must be a Ricardo Alvarez around with experience in aviation, and that's not me. No, but then I realized, and now I'm connecting the dots. Let me tell you why. Because leading a supply chain, and this is the similarities with consumer goods, leading a supply chain, first you need to be very clear on the business model, very clear on the business needs, and then as a supply chain leader, you need to make sure that you are really leading the supply chain team and the supply chain organization to support the core of the business. In this case, core business is heavy maintenance. So what is needed? What is needed for that business need? And then we go and provide what can be provided, what can be done. And knowing the business, understanding the core of the business, and providing the direction to the supply chain team to deliver those business needs is really very similar to consumer goods, but this is where sometimes supply chain fails, because we try, or supply chain practitioners try to build their own kingdom, trying to get the be the ones that are delivering the results, and this is not. No, the business, the core of the business is the one producing the profits, the benefits, and we are here to support. So those are the similarities, and by being a leader helped and surrounded by expert people, I have been able to build my own business acumen, and honestly have been able to really give my contribution to the company.
Ricardo, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure to have this conversation live here in El Salvador. I'm really looking forward to have another one soon, hopefully in Paris. Well, thanks so much everyone at Lokad, and well, hope to see you in the next edition.